There comes a point in time where you have to look at reality. You have to face facts. There's nothing wrong with being excited for things and hoping for things, but at some point in time, you've got to look in the mirror. You've got to ask the man in the mirror to change his ways. I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And we need to change our ways, Nintendo fans. I know there are a lot of Nintendo diehards that watch this channel, and I appreciate you. But it's time to face reality. It's time to look at that man in the mirror and say to that man, hey, it ain't happening this year, pal. There is no Switch 2 reveal that's going to magically pop up and happen in 2024. It's over. It's done. And I think that says a lot about the future of the system itself, because this was the past week. This past week, you had people, this is the week. This is the week. It's going to be this week. And what happened? You got nothing. You got nothing involving the new system. If anything, this bolstered the current Nintendo Switch system in 2025. You also got a music application. I'm sure people are upset about my thoughts about that, but hey, it's crashing all the time on Android right now, so enjoy that music app. But of course, the bigger news, for me at least, was the announcement of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. I love this game. I think this is the best Xenoblade game, probably because the story is more futuristic. I just find it a little bit more interesting. It's not really a game that has the same sort of depth in the story unless you seek it out, but I thoroughly enjoy this game, and I think the gameplay and the world that they created in this game is just absolutely fantastic. But Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition is coming out at the end of March 2025. So now, when you take a step back, you look at the bigger picture for Nintendo Switch, and especially first-party Switch games, there are two games in the months of January and March that are first-party games that are coming to the system. You, of course, have Donkey Kong Country. That game returns HD, the biggest scam in the world, at $60, unless they're adding in new content, which I do not think they are. But that comes out in January, and now we have Xenoblade Chronicles X coming out in March. So what does that mean? That means that there's games that are announced that are coming out. So you're bolstering your lineup for those 2 months. Now, I know what you're saying to yourself. Well, they said that it was going to be announced sometime in the fiscal year, and that means March to March. So there's 3 months to do in 2025 that they could be announcing this system, because the whole mentality, the whole mantra was basing it on the previous Nintendo system, that being the Nintendo Switch, which of course was announced in October and released in March. So people thought they were going to follow that mantra, but I think it's clear they're not. They're not following the same sort of path that they were before. One of the big holdups for this whole thing, and the real main crux that people were hanging on to, was the fact that there is an investors meeting for Nintendo happening on November 5th in Japan. So they thought to themselves, well, it has to happen before then, because they're going to walk into this investors meeting with nothing to show, and then people are going to get mad. The investors are going to ask questions. But is that really the case? Because the Switch is still selling. They're still selling systems. They're still selling software. They're still selling units in large amounts that a system that is approaching its 8th year usually wouldn't have done. So when they walk into that meeting, they're showing that, yes, sales are down, but they're still selling. There's still software coming to the system, and we have a new system on the horizon. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to say. That's all you got to put out there to the investors. We'll announce it when the time is right, coming soon or something like that. And then you do it probably in March. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm expecting this to be a March reveal and then a fall 2025 launch. I think this whole first half of the year that it's coming out, I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't. When you look at everything that is happening, especially within the video game industry right now, it's a very rocky minefield. It's a very volatile situation. You have companies that are closing down left and right. And Nintendo, their philosophy, their kind of mantra when it comes to game development and hardware development has actually proven to be a very smart move. While others are engaging in this console war of, the attrition of power and all these big budget games, those big budget games have to sell, tens of millions of copies to break even. And we've seen it with third-party developers. We've seen it with first-party developers. The smaller budget Nintendo games are actually very lucrative for the company because they don't need to sell anywhere near the amount that the other companies do. They are marching to the beat of their own drum. And while, yes, personally, I want the system because I am tired of performance issues and subpar ports and stuff like that. If people are buying that stuff, if people are still picking up the system, if people are still buying the games on the system, what's the rush? The rush is for the diehard fan. The rush is for, content creators, people who only talk about Nintendo related things. They want Nintendo to announce this new system because their livelihood kind of depends on it. So you kind of dangle the carrot in front of people. Multi-platform channels don't really have to worry about that. But what ends up happening is you get all these individuals that were saying, it's definitely revealing in October. It's definitely revealing in October. And then what happened? October came and went. And we still listen to these people for some reason. There are still people saying that this system is going to come out in March of 2025. And people are taking this as potential fact. People are taking this and let's be clear. There is a small sliver of a chance because you never truly know what these companies are doing. But I think after this past week where you got an announcement of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, you got an announcement of Nintendo Music, you got an announcement of new Nintendo Switch online games with Turok 3 or Turok 2 and Shadow Man. I feel like, or was it Turok 3? I'm not really sure. It was a Turok game. But I just feel like this window of opportunity for the system to be announced in 2024 has closed. Because you're not going to do it, at the tail end of November or December or anything like that. That just doesn't make much sense. And they said it's in the fiscal year of 2024, meaning March to March. And if you don't really have, this isn't a situation like the Wii U was, where the system never got going and it completely fell off a cliff. It was pretty much pushed off a cliff and they had to announce something. They had to get people excited for this. And an announcement of a system doesn't necessarily mean a reveal of the system. Because if you go back in time, if you go back in time, the NX was announced via Twitter, via just a tweet saying, hey, we're working on the next generation system. And then I think it was March is when that happened. And then October was the reveal of the system. And that was a dire straight situation for Nintendo. Now they're cruising. They have no pressure. They have no reason to rush out there. So I don't know. If you're still Team 2024, good luck. Ask your doctor for some Xanax or something like that because you're probably going to need it. You're probably going to need something to control your emotions and numb, I should say, your senses down a little bit because I don't think it's happening, pal. But that's fine. There's so many games out there to play. There's so many games that are still coming out. There's so many retro games to check out. Just play some of those, bro. Hell, you know what I've been playing lately? Command & Conquer on the Nintendo 64. I don't know why. I love the first Command & Conquer. It's arguably better on the Saturn, I think, because it has the CD audio music and it's got the full motion video. But the N64 version does have 3D terrain, which actually makes it kind of interesting, and there's a couple bonus missions in the game as well. But just play video games, bro. It'll be all right. There's other stuff to talk about out there. Let me know in the comment section down below, though. You still think this is happening this year? Because I don't. And that's okay. You know, it is what it is. Do I want it to happen? Look, and let's be perfectly clear. October and November are the best, and really December by extension, are the best months on YouTube for ad revenue because of the holiday season. And so many companies are buying ads. I want it to happen now because I will make money when it is announced and people are talking about it. And I have lots of things to say about it. But I'm also realistic. I looked at the man in the mirror. I asked him to change his ways. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.